Details tonight on an arrest in New York City. This after a young woman was killed last month inside her apartment in Tamarac. The Broward Sheriff's Office announced that the suspect, Sakiyna Thompson, is now in custody.
Picture this. It's 5 in the morning. You're asleep in your apartment, feeling safe, feeling secure. Then suddenly, there's a knock at your door. You answer it, half awake, not knowing that in the next few minutes, your life is going to end. This is exactly what happened to 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson on July 13th, 2022. But before we get into this absolutely heartbreaking story, if you're new here to Mystoracrimes, please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to click that bell icon so you never miss when we upload these true crime cases. Trust me, you're going to want to stay updated on stories like this one. Now, let me tell you about Kayla. She wasn't just another face in the crowd. This girl had something special about her. Everyone who knew Kayla talked about her smile. We're talking about the kind of smile that could genuinely light up a room. She worked as a bottle waitress in the Broward County hospitality scene down in Florida, and she was popular, really popular. The kind of person who made friends easily, who people genuinely enjoyed being around. At 23 years old, Kayla had her whole life ahead of her. She was living in Tamarac, Florida, working hard, enjoying her youth, and dating someone new. And that's where our story really begins, because the man Kayla was dating had an ex-girlfriend. Her name was Sakiyna Thompson, and she was 31 years old, living all the way up in New York. Now, breakups are hard, right? We all know that. But some people handle them differently than others. Some people move on. Some people take time to heal. And some people become obsessed. Sakiyna wasn't handling this breakup well at all. She couldn't accept that her ex had moved on. She couldn't accept that he was now with Kayla. In the months leading up to what happened, Sakiyna admitted to getting upset when Kayla blocked her on social media. Think about that for a second. A 31-year-old woman, living in a completely different state, was monitoring the social media activity of her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. That's not just being upset about a breakup. That's obsession. But it gets worse. Way worse. Because Sakiyna wasn't just sitting in New York, scrolling through social media and feeling jealous. No, she was planning something. Something terrible. In early July 2022, Sakiyna Thompson bought a plane ticket from New York to South Florida. Let me be clear about something here. This wasn't a casual trip. This wasn't her visiting family or going on vacation. According to prosecutors, Sakiyna flew down to Florida with one specific purpose in mind. She was going there to kill Kayla Hodgson. Think about what that means for a moment. This woman sat down, probably at her computer or on her phone, and booked a flight. She packed her bags. She went through airport security. She sat on that plane for hours. And the entire time, she knew what she was planning to do. That's not a crime of passion. That's not someone who just snapped in the heat of the moment. That's premeditation. That's cold, calculated murder. But Sakiyna didn't just fly down there and show up at Kayla's door. Oh no, she took steps to hide her identity. She wore a hat and a COVID mask to conceal her face. Remember, this was 2022, so masks weren't unusual, but she was using it as a disguise. She even created a fake Uber account so she could get around without leaving a traceable digital footprint under her real name. This woman thought of everything. Now, imagine being Kayla for a second. You're dating someone new. Maybe you know he has an ex-girlfriend. Maybe you don't think much of it. You blocked her on social media because you don't want the drama. You think that's the end of it. You have no idea that this woman has flown 1,000 miles, disguised herself, and is now making her way to your apartment. July 13th, 2022, 5 o'clock in the morning. Kayla is asleep in her Tamarac apartment. Then comes that knock on the door. Kayla answers it. And standing there is Sakiyna Thompson, ready to confront her about dating the same man. What happened next is absolutely horrifying.
Elisa, thanks. And now to a tragedy in Tamarac after a woman is found dead. 7's Samantha Sosa is there live with more on the investigation and what we know about the victim. Samantha.
And now the sheriff's office is officially calling this a murder investigation. Detectives continue going in and out of a second-floor unit Thursday afternoon at the Tamarac Village Apartments along Commercial Boulevard. Investigators processing bags of evidence, including some found outside on the sidewalk. This command center here more than 20 hours after a deadly discovery.
Our caller says that there's a gash on the patient's neck. It looks like someone slashed her neck.
This harrowing 911 call went through around 3 in the afternoon Thursday. Broward deputies later finding a young woman dead. Family says she was just 23 years old. Friends identify her as Kayla Hodgson, pictured here.
According to the evidence presented at trial, Sakiyna didn't just confront Kayla. She stabbed her. Not once, not twice, dozens of times. The medical examiner found dozens of stab wounds on Kayla's body. Think about the rage, the absolute fury it takes to stab someone that many times. This wasn't just about jealousy anymore. This was pure violence. Kayla fought for her life in those final moments. She was a young, vibrant woman who didn't deserve any of this. She had done nothing wrong except date someone who happened to have a dangerously obsessed ex-girlfriend. After Sakiyna killed Kayla, she didn't stay around. She ran. She left Kayla's body there in that apartment and fled back to New York, probably thinking she'd gotten away with it. Maybe she thought her disguise had worked. Maybe she thought that fake Uber account would keep investigators from tracking her down. But here's the thing about murder investigations in 2022. Technology is everywhere. Digital footprints are almost impossible to completely erase. Kayla's body was discovered, and immediately, investigators started piecing things together. They looked at her life, her relationships, any possible conflicts she might have had. And pretty quickly, a picture started to emerge. The ex-girlfriend, the jealousy, the social media drama, the timeline of when Sakiyna had flown into Florida. On July 25th, 2022, just 12 days after Kayla's murder, a warrant was issued for Sakiyna Thompson's arrest. But she was back in New York by then, probably thinking she was safe, probably thinking she'd gotten away with it. She hadn't. On August 3rd, 2022, Sakiyna Thompson was captured in New York. Can you imagine what was going through her mind when the police showed up? Did she think about Kayla in that moment? Did she feel any remorse? Or was she still so consumed by jealousy that she couldn't even see what she'd done?
Tonight on an arrest in New York City. This after a young woman was killed last month inside her apartment in Tamarac. The Broward Sheriff's Office announced that the suspect, Sakiyna Thompson, is now in custody.
A warrant was issued for 28-year-old Sakiyna Thompson. She was arrested on Wednesday in New York City.
Making an arrest makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
BSO is not saying what led them to their suspect, but an arrest affidavit says Sakiyna Thompson was demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life by stabbing with a sharp object with a premeditated intent to cause death.
Sakiyna was extradited back to Florida to face charges of first-degree murder. And here's where her story starts to change. Because now, faced with overwhelming evidence, Sakiyna had to come up with some kind of defense. And the story she told? It was almost insulting. Sakiyna claimed that she had only gone to Kayla's apartment to have a woman-to-woman conversation. She said she just wanted to talk, clear the air about this man they'd both been involved with. But then, according to Sakiyna, Kayla attacked her.
She just starts grabbing my hair and punching me. And I'm on the floor. I'm kicking. I'm trying to get up to fight back at this point because now it's a fight. I was pregnant, so I felt like she was trying to hurt me and my baby. I didn't just fight for me. I fought for me and my baby.
And in the struggle, Sakiyna said she blacked out. She couldn't remember what happened next. Convenient, right? Let me ask you something. If you fly from New York to Florida, disguise yourself with a hat and mask, use a fake Uber account, and show up at someone's door at 5 in the morning, does that sound like someone who just wants to have a calm, rational conversation? Of course not. And the prosecution wasn't buying it either. The case went to trial in October 2024, more than 2 years after Kayla's murder. For 2 years, Kayla's family had been waiting for justice. For 2 years, they'd been living with the pain of losing their daughter, their sister, their friend in such a brutal, senseless way. During the trial, prosecutors laid out all the evidence. They showed the jury the planning that went into this murder, the flight records, the fake Uber account, the disguise, The fact that Sakiyna had traveled all that way with, as they argued, one purpose in mind. They presented the medical examiner's findings showing dozens of stab wounds on Kayla's body. Dozens. That's not self-defense. That's not blacking out. That's sustained, intentional violence. The defense tried to paint a different picture. They wanted the jury to believe that Sakiyna had only wanted to talk, that things had escalated unexpectedly, that she'd acted in self-defense when Kayla allegedly attacked her. But how do you explain dozens of stab wounds as self-defense? How do you explain the premeditation, the planning, the disguise? On October 15th, 2024, after hearing all the evidence, the jury reached their verdict. Guilty. Guilty of first-degree murder.
State of Florida versus Sakiyna Thompson. We, the jury, find as follows as the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree.
The courtroom erupted. Kayla's family, who had been holding their breath for 2 long years, finally heard the words they'd been waiting for.
We finally have some justice for Kayla.
They embraced each other, crying tears of both relief and continued grief. One family member said, "We're just so thankful that the jury saw the truth. Kayla did not deserve to die the way she did." No, she didn't. Kayla Hodgson was 23 years old. She was beautiful, popular, hardworking, and kind. Her smile lit up rooms. She had dreams, plans, a future, and all of that was stolen from her because someone couldn't let go of jealousy. Sakiyna Thompson now faces life in prison. Her sentencing date hasn't been set yet, but when it is, she'll likely spend the rest of her life behind bars. And honestly, that's where she belongs. But here's what I want you to think about. What goes through someone's mind to make them capable of this? How does jealousy transform into such murderous rage that you'll fly across the country, plan everything out, and brutally take someone's life? At what point did Sakiyna decide that killing Kayla was the answer? And did she ever, even for a moment, think about Kayla as a real person with real life, or had jealousy dehumanized her so completely? These are the questions that keep me up at night, because cases like this remind us that sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't a stranger in a dark alley. Sometimes it's someone's obsession, someone's inability to let go, someone's refusal to accept that life has moved on without them. If this case affected you, if it made you think, please leave a comment below, share your thoughts. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Mystoracrimes, and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we post a new case. Share this video so Kayla's story reaches more people, because she deserves to be remembered. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.